My 8-year-old asked, "Why does Daddy have two houses?" I divorced their stepmother that week. "Daddy, why do you have two houses?" The juice box slipped from my hand and hit the kitchen floor with a wet splat. Emma was sitting at our breakfast table, swinging her legs while methodically picking the raisins out of her cereal, like she'd just asked me about the weather instead of dropping a bomb that would detonate my entire world. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" I managed, grabbing paper towels while my heart hammered against my ribs. "Like Mommy, Sarah has the house with the blue door where she keeps her other car, and then this house with us." Emma held up a raisin, examining it with the scientific curiosity only an 8-year-old could muster. "Tommy's dad only has one house. Why do you have two?" The paper towels turned to mush in my suddenly sweating palms. Sarah had left 20 minutes ago for her early morning yoga class, the Tuesday and Thursday routine she'd maintained religiously for the past 6 months. The same yoga class I'd never seen her come home sweaty from. The same yoga class that apparently happened at a house with a blue door. "Emma, honey, what blue door?" I kept my voice level, crouching down to clean up the apple juice while my mind raced. "The pretty blue one. Like the color of my mermaid tail. Sarah took me there last week when you were at work because she forgot her special earrings. She said it was our secret house for surprises." Emma finally popped the raisin in her mouth, completely oblivious to the fact that she just handed me a stick of dynamite with the pin pulled. I'd married Sarah Henley 8 months ago. 8 months of what I thought was rebuilding our lives, creating stability for Emma after the chaos of my divorce from her mother 2 years earlier. Sarah had moved into our house on Maple Street in June, selling her downtown condo, or so she told me. We'd combined our finances, shared everything. I trusted her with my daughter, with our future, with the $15,000 I contributed to our joint savings account just last month. "Did you see Sarah's other car, Em?" I asked, trying to sound casual while my world tilted sideways. "The red one. It's so pretty, Daddy. She said it was for special occasions." Emma abandoned her cereal entirely now, spinning in her chair. "And there was a man there who knew my name. He seemed really nice. He knew I liked horses." The kitchen suddenly felt like it was spinning. Sarah drove a silver Honda to our house. She told me she'd sold her red Audi when we got married because we didn't need 2 car payments. The red Audi that was apparently parked at a house with a blue door, where a man who knew my daughter's name and her favorite animal was waiting. I pulled out my phone with shaking fingers, opening our shared banking app. The joint account we'd opened in July showed a balance of $3,200. It should have been over $18,000. The last withdrawal was yesterday, $2,800 to S. Henley with a note that said, "Household expenses." "Daddy? Are you okay? You look funny." I looked at Emma, my beautiful, innocent daughter who'd just accidentally revealed that the woman I'd trusted with our future was living a double life. The woman who'd sat at this same table last night, planning our weekend trip to the zoo. The woman who'd kissed me goodbye this morning and told me she loved me. "I'm fine, baby girl," I lied, my finger already scrolling to my attorney's contact. "Just thinking about surprises." I dropped Emma off at school 45 minutes early, my hand still shaking as I signed her into the Before Care program. She skipped away happily, chattering to Mrs. Rodriguez about the art project they'd be working on, completely unaware that she'd just blown up her father's second marriage before her Cheerios got soggy. By 8:15 a.m., I was parked 3 blocks away from Sarah's supposed yoga studio, Zen Lotus Wellness on 5th Street. I called them from the school parking lot, my voice steady despite the acid burning through my stomach. "Hi, I wanted to surprise my wife after her yoga class today. Sarah Henley. She comes in Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 a.m. The receptionist's pause stretched too long. "I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have anyone by that name registered for our morning classes. Are you sure you have the right studio?" I thanked her and hung up, staring at my phone like it might suddenly make sense of everything. Now I sat in my car, watching joggers and commuters stream past, while I tried to figure out how to navigate the wreckage my life had become in the span of one breakfast conversation. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah, asterisk running late today, might grab lunch with Jessica after class. Love you. Red heart asterisk. Jessica Martinez had been Sarah's maid of honor. I scrolled through my contacts and hit call before I could lose my nerve. Marcus? Hey, everything okay? Jessica sounded genuinely surprised to hear from me. Quick question, are you having lunch with Sarah today? Sarah? No, I'm in Phoenix until Friday for work. Conference thing. Why? The phone felt heavy in my hand. Just got my wires crossed. Thanks, Jess. I hung up and immediately called David Chen, my divorce attorney from 2 years ago. His secretary put me through right away. Marcus? Please tell me you're calling to invite me to a barbecue and not because you need my services again. I wish. I gave him the abbreviated version, the house with the blue door, the red car, the mysterious man who knew Emma's name, the drained bank account, the fake yoga classes. David was quiet for a long moment. How much access does she have to your finances? Joint checking and savings. She's on the mortgage paperwork but not the deed. You told me to keep the house in my name only. Thank God I'd listened to at least some of his paranoid advice after my first divorce. Smart man. What about credit cards? I pulled up my banking app, scrolling through accounts I hadn't checked in weeks. My stomach dropped. Jesus Christ, David. She's got a credit card on my account I didn't even know about. There's over $8,000 charged to it this month. Where? My finger traced down the charges, each line item feeling like a physical blow. Hotels. The Grand Marquis downtown. Multiple charges. Restaurants I've never been to. And David, there's a jewelry store charge for $3,200 from last Tuesday. The day she withdrew cash from your joint account. Yeah. I leaned back against the headrest, closing my eyes. She bought jewelry with my money on the same day she cleaned out our savings. Marcus, I need you to listen carefully. Do not confront her. Do not let her know you know anything yet. Can you do that? I don't know if I can sit across from her at dinner tonight and pretend everything's normal. You have to. We need documentation. Photos of this blue door house. Bank records. Everything. If she realizes you're onto her, she might disappear with whatever's left of your money. My phone buzzed with another text from Sarah, *, miss you already. Can't wait to be home with my two favorite people tonight. 2 hearts *. I stared at the message, my jaw clenched so tight my teeth ached. David? I said into the phone. Let's destroy her. I spent the next 3 hours becoming a private investigator I never wanted to be. First stop, the county recorder's office. The clerk, a tired-looking woman named Patricia who'd probably seen her share of suspicious spouses, helped me search property records. It took 45 minutes, but there it was, a house at 847 Willow Creek Drive, purchased 18 months ago by Sarah M. Henley and Daniel K. Morrison. Joint ownership. Purchased 3 months before she'd even met me. My hands trembled as I photographed the document. Daniel K. Morrison. The man who knew Emma liked horses. Sir. You need copies of anything else? Patricia's voice seemed to come from underwater. No. Thank you. I managed to walk to my car before my legs gave out. Daniel Morrison. I sat in a courthouse parking lot and Googled him on my phone. LinkedIn showed a 34-year-old financial advisor at Blackstone Wealth Management. Handsome, in that clean-cut way that probably made clients trust him with their retirement funds. His company photo showed him smiling confidently in a navy suit. The same navy suit I'd seen hanging in our bedroom closet. The one Sarah said she bought me for Christmas but wanted me to try on early. The one that was 2 sizes too small for me but fit perfectly on the man grinning from my phone screen. I drove to 847 Willow Creek Drive like a man heading to his own execution. The house sat on a quiet cul-de-sac, surrounded by mature oak trees. Modest but well-maintained, with professional landscaping and a cheerful blue front door the exact shade of Emma's mermaid costume. Sarah's red Audi sat in the driveway next to a black BMW sedan. I parked across the street and called David. I found it, I said without preamble. She owns it with someone named Daniel Morrison. They bought it together 18 months ago. Before she knew you. Long before. David, her car's here. And his. She's inside right now. Marcus, do not. I'm not going to do anything stupid. But I need photos, right? From across the street. Do not get out of your car. I spent 20 minutes documenting everything through my telephoto camera lens, the house, the cars, the license plates. At 11:47 a.m., the blue door opened. Sarah emerged first, laughing at something over her shoulder. She was wearing the yellow sundress I'd complimented her on Sunday, the one she'd worn to Emma's school picnic where she played the perfect stepmother, helping kids with their potato sack races. Daniel Morrison followed her out, and my heart stopped. He wasn't just some random guy she was having an affair with. He was tall, dark-haired, and shared Emma's distinctive nose shape and chin dimple. Features I'd assumed came from her mother's side of the family. Features that weren't from her mother at all. Oh God, I whispered, my phone slipping from my hands. Daniel Morrison wasn't just Sarah's partner in real estate fraud and adultery. The way he touched Emma's face in a photo I could see him showing Sarah on his phone, the gentle familiarity in his gesture. This wasn't a random affair partner who happened to know my daughter's name. This was Emma's biological father. The man I'd been told died in a motorcycle accident when Emma was 2. The man whose death certificate I'd never seen because Emma's mother, Lisa, said it was too painful to discuss. The man whose child support I'd never questioned the absence of because I'd fallen for the grieving widow story completely. I watched Sarah kiss him goodbye, not a quick peck, but the deep, familiar kiss of 2 people who'd never actually been apart. She got in her red Audi, probably heading home to prepare for another evening of lies, while Daniel Morrison, Emma's very much alive father, waved from the doorway of their shared home. My phone buzzed with a text from Lisa, Emma's mother, * running late for pickup. Can you get Emma from school today, *? I stared at the message, my entire understanding of reality crumbling around me. How many people were lying to me about my own life? I sat in my car outside Willow Creek Elementary, watching parents stream through the pickup line while my entire world continued to collapse in real time. Emma wouldn't be out for another 20 minutes, which gave me just enough time to make the phone call that might destroy what was left of my sanity. I scrolled through my contacts until I found Lisa's sister, Jennifer. We'd barely spoken since the divorce, but she'd always been the more honest one in that family. If anyone would crack under pressure, it would be Jen. Marcus. This is unexpected. Her voice was guarded, like she'd been expecting this call for years. Jen, I need you to tell me the truth about something. It's about Emma. The pause stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. What kind of truth? The kind about her father. The kind about Daniel Morrison still being very much alive. I heard her sharp intake of breath, followed by what sounded like a door closing. Oh, Marcus. Oh no. Lisa said you'd never find out. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. How long have you known? The whole time. Danny never died in any motorcycle accident. He and Lisa broke up when Emma was 2 because he wasn't ready to be a father, but he stayed in touch. He sends money every month, has since the beginning. The child support I'd never questioned. The mysterious life insurance payments Lisa had claimed were helping her stay afloat as a single mom. Money that had actually been coming from Daniel Morrison while I played the noble divorced dad, never asking for financial help with Emma because I thought Lisa was struggling alone. Jen, where does that money go? Lisa puts it in an account for Emma's college fund. At least, that's what she told me. Marcus, I'm sorry. I told her 100 times this would blow up eventually, especially after you remarried. When she told me your new wife's name was Sarah, I nearly had a heart attack. You know Sarah? Know her? Marcus, she's Danny's girlfriend. Has been for 3 years. Lisa introduced them at Emma's 6th birthday party, the one you couldn't make it to because of work. Sarah and Danny have been together ever since. I watched a school bus pull away, its brake lights blurring as my eyes filled with tears of pure rage. So this was planned. All of it. I don't know about planned, but... Marcus, Lisa panicked when you started dating again. She was terrified you'd find someone Emma really liked, someone who might want to adopt her. She couldn't let that happen because then Danny's paternity might come up in court. So she convinced Sarah to what? Seduce me. Marry me. I think it started as just keeping an eye on you. Making sure you didn't get too serious with anyone. But then you fell for Sarah hard, and Lisa thought maybe it was perfect. Sarah could report back about Emma, make sure you weren't planning anything that might complicate their situation. A group of third graders burst through the school doors, Emma's distinctive red backpack visible among them. I had maybe 5 minutes before she spotted my car. The money, Jen. Emma's college fund. How much? Last time Lisa mentioned it, she said it was over $40,000. Why? My head dropped against the steering wheel. $40,000. Emma's real father had been contributing to her future while I'd been paying for everything else, school supplies, clothes, medical bills, birthday parties, Christmas presents. All while being kept completely in the dark about her actual parentage. Marcus, there's something else. Lisa's been seeing someone new. Someone serious. She's talking about moving to Denver with him next month. What about Emma? She wants to take her. She thinks since you're remarried now, you won't fight for custody. I watched Emma emerge from the school building, her face lighting up when she spotted my car. She started running toward me, her backpack bouncing, completely unaware that every adult in her life had been lying to her about the most basic facts of her existence. Jen, I have to go. But I need copies of everything, bank statements, any documentation about Daniel Morrison, anything that proves this has been going on. I can't betray Lisa like that. She's planning to disappear with my daughter to Denver while my wife drains my bank accounts to fund her life with Emma's secret biological father. I think the time for family loyalty has passed. Emma reached the car and yanked open the passenger door. Daddy. Guess what we learned about fractions today? I forced a smile while Jennifer's voice came through the phone speaker. Give me until tonight. I'll email you everything I have. The email from Jennifer arrived at 11:47 p.m. while I sat in my home office, pretending to review quarterly reports. Sarah was already asleep, or at least pretending to be, after an evening of Oscar-worthy performance art. She'd made Emma's favorite spaghetti dinner, helped with homework, and curled up with us for movie night like the perfect stepmother she'd never actually been. I opened Jennifer's email with shaking hands. Asterisk Marcus, I'm sorry it took so long. Had to wait for Lisa to leave for her book club. Here's everything I could find. The bank statements show Daniel's payments going back to when Emma was 18 months old. The amounts increased every year. He's been paying what real child support should be. There are also some photos Lisa kept that she probably shouldn't have. I'm sorry you're finding out this way. Jen asterisk. The attachments loaded slowly, each one a fresh knife twist. Bank statements showed regular deposits from D. Morrison, totaling $847 per month for the past 6 years. In the memo lines, for Emma's future, Princess Fund, love always. But it was the photos that destroyed me completely. 23 pictures spanning the last 2 years. Emma at Chuck E. Cheese with Daniel Morrison, both of them grinning over a massive birthday cake. Emma on Daniel's shoulders at the zoo. I'd been planning to take her to this weekend. Emma asleep in Daniel's lap during what looked like a movie night at the Blue Door House. And the worst one, Emma hugging Daniel goodbye at what appeared to be a hotel, a small overnight bag in her hand. The metadata showed dates when Emma was supposedly staying late at Lisa's girl time, or sleeping over at her friend Madison's house. Dates when I'd been working late or out of town for business trips. Dates when my daughter had been building a relationship with her real father while I'd been completely oblivious. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely scroll to the final attachment, a scanned document titled, Emergency Contact Information, Willow Creek Elementary School. Listed under Emma's authorized pickup persons, Lisa Morrison, mother, Marcus Thompson, stepfather, Daniel Morrison, father, and Sarah Morrison, stepmother. Morrison. They'd all been using the same last name at Emma's school. The school where I'd been attending parent-teacher conferences as Marcus Thompson, Emma's father, while Daniel Morrison was listed as her actual father on official paperwork. I wasn't Emma's stepfather in this equation. I was the outsider who'd stumbled into their family structure without even knowing it. The final email in Jennifer's forward chain was from Lisa to Daniel, dated 3 weeks ago. Asterisk Danny, Marcus is getting suspicious about something. Sarah thinks he's been asking questions about her schedule. Maybe it's time to tell Emma the truth about us before he figures it out. She's old enough now, and if we're moving to Denver anyway, we won't have to keep managing this much longer. Let me know what Sarah thinks. L asterisk. Daniel's response, sent the same day, asterisk agreed. Emma's been asking why she can't call me daddy around other people. It's getting harder to explain. Plus Sarah says Marcus has been weird about money lately. We should probably wrap this up soon. Talk tonight. D asterisk. I read it 3 times before the words fully sank in. They were planning to tell Emma that Daniel was her real father. They were planning to move to Denver and take her with them. And they'd been discussing it while Sarah sat across from me at dinner every night, asking about my day and kissing me goodnight. My phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number, asterisk Mr. Thompson, this is Daniel Morrison. We need to talk. Can you meet me tomorrow at 2 p.m. at Corner Coffee on 5th Street? It's about Emma's future. Come alone, asterisk. I stared at the message, my heart hammering against my ribs. Emma's biological father wanted to meet face to face. The man sleeping with my wife wanted to discuss my daughter's future. I didn't sleep. How could I? By 3 a.m., I was back in my car, parked outside the Blue Door House on Willow Creek Drive. The lights were off, both cars in the driveway, and I sat there in the darkness trying to figure out how to face Daniel Morrison in 11 hours without completely losing my mind. At 5:47 a.m., my phone rang. Lisa's name flashed on the screen. We need to talk, she said without preamble. Danny told me he texted you. You mean Daniel Morrison? Emma's supposedly dead father. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Marcus, please. It's not what you think. Really? Because what I think is that you've been lying to me for 8 years about the most basic facts of my daughter's life while your boyfriend's girlfriend drained my bank account. Lisa was crying now. She's my daughter too. I was trying to protect her. From what? From having a father who actually gave a damn about her. From having her life turned upside down. You were so good with her, Marcus. You loved her like she was yours. I thought maybe it could just stay simple. I laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in my empty car. Simple. Lisa, I've been paying for everything, her medical bills, school clothes, birthday parties, while her real father sends you nearly $1,000 a month that you've been hiding from me. That money was always for Emma's college fund. Bullshit. Jennifer sent me the bank statements. You've been using Daniel's money to supplement your income this whole time. The life insurance story, the struggling single mom act, it was all a lie to make me feel guilty enough to cover everything else. The silence stretched long enough that I thought she'd hung up. Marcus, Emma loves you. That was never fake. But everything else was. Including Sarah. How long have you known she was Daniel's girlfriend? I introduced them at Emma's birthday party 3 years ago. But Sarah pursuing you wasn't planned, I swear. That just happened. And you didn't think to mention it when I told you I was getting serious with her. I panicked, okay. Emma was so happy with Sarah. She kept talking about how nice it was to have a stepmom who understood her. I thought maybe it would work out somehow. I closed my eyes, remembering Emma's excitement when I'd first brought Sarah around. How she'd immediately bonded with her, how Sarah had known exactly what to say, what games to play, what Emma's favorite foods were. Of course she'd known, she'd been getting reports from Daniel, who'd been spending time with Emma behind my back for years. Lisa, I'm meeting with Daniel this afternoon. I know. Marcus, please don't hate us. We never meant for it to get this complicated. You never meant to get caught. Emma's been asking questions about why she looks like Daniel. She's 8, she notices things. We were going to tell her the truth eventually. Before or after you moved to Denver and disappeared with her. Another long pause. How did you? Never mind. Marcus, I have every right to take Emma with me. I'm her mother. And I'm the man who's been her father for 6 years while her biological father played house with my wife. Daniel wants to be part of her life now. Really part of it. Convenient timing, considering Sarah's about to be single again. I hung up and drove home, where Sarah was making breakfast in our kitchen like she had every morning for 8 months. She looked up when I walked in, her smile bright and false. You're up early. Everything okay? Couldn't sleep. Work stress. I poured coffee and watched her move around our kitchen, the kitchen in the house I owned, making breakfast with groceries I'd paid for, wearing the diamond bracelet she'd apparently bought herself with my credit card. Well, I have good news that might cheer you up. She moved closer, wrapping her arms around my waist. Jessica and I are planning a girls' weekend next month. Vegas, maybe. We need some fun time. Jessica, who was supposedly in Phoenix and had never heard of any girls' weekend. Sounds expensive, I said carefully. Oh, I've been saving up. You know how good I am with money. She kissed my cheek, and I fought every instinct not to pull away. In 6 hours, I'd be sitting across from Daniel Morrison, Emma's real father and Sarah's actual boyfriend, discussing the future of the daughter I'd raised and the wife I'd trusted. But first, I had to get Emma to school and pretend my world wasn't ending. Corner coffee at 1:55 p.m. was nearly empty, just a few students with laptops and an elderly couple sharing a crossword puzzle. I chose a table in the back corner where I could see the entrance, my hands wrapped around a coffee I couldn't taste. Every time the door chimed, my stomach clenched tighter. Daniel Morrison walked in at exactly 2 p.m., and seeing him in person hit differently than the photos. He was taller than I'd expected, maybe 6 feet 2 inches, with Emma's same dark eyes and a kind of confident posture that probably served him well in financial consulting. He spotted me immediately. I was the only man sitting alone, radiating barely contained fury. Marcus. He slid into the chair across from me, no handshake offered. Thanks for coming. Let's skip the pleasantries. What do you want? He ordered a black coffee from the barista, taking his time like we were old friends catching up instead of two men whose lives had been catastrophically entangled by lies. When she walked away, he leaned back in his chair and studied me. You're handling this better than I expected. Am I supposed to thank you for that assessment? Look, I know how this looks. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been playing house with my wife while I raised your daughter, completely oblivious that everyone in my life has been lying to me for years. Daniel's jaw tightened. Emma's my daughter, Marcus. Biologically, legally, every way that matters. Legally. I pulled out my phone, showing him the screenshot of Emma's school emergency contacts. Because according to Willow Creek Elementary, I'm listed as her stepfather while you're her father. When exactly did that paperwork get filed? His coffee arrived, and he wrapped his hands around the mug like he needed something to hold on to. Lisa updated Emma's records 2 years ago when I started having regular contact again. Regular contact. The words came out flat, dangerous. You mean the zoo trips? The birthday parties? The overnight stays I thought were sleepovers with friends? Emma needed to know her real father. Her real father. I leaned forward, dropping my voice to just above a whisper. I've been her real father since she was 2 years old. I'm the one who held her when she had nightmares. I taught her to ride a bike. I stayed up all night when she had pneumonia last winter while you were, where were you exactly? I was in Chicago on business, but Sarah was right there next to me, playing concerned stepmother, texting updates to you about my daughter's condition. The pieces were clicking together with sickening clarity. That's why she was so calm during the emergency room visit. She wasn't worried about Emma, she was gathering information to report back to you. Daniel's composure cracked slightly. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Because here's what I know, you and Sarah own a house together. You've been sending Lisa money for years while I covered every other expense. Sarah's been draining my accounts to fund your shared life. And now you want to discuss Emma's future like I'm just some obstacle to navigate around. I want what's best for Emma. What's best for Emma is stability, honesty, and not having her life turned upside down because 3 adults decided to play games with her identity. I pulled out a folder I'd prepared that morning. Speaking of honesty, let's talk about Sarah's other activities. I slid a printout across the table, credit card statements showing the hotel charges, restaurant bills, and jewelry purchases. Daniel's face went pale as he scanned the numbers. The Grand Marquis downtown. Every Tuesday and Thursday for 3 months. $200 to $300 per night. I'm assuming those weren't yoga sessions. I watched his expression carefully. But here's the interesting part, the rooms were booked under different names. Not yours, not Sarah's. I don't understand. Neither did I, until I called the hotel this morning. Those rooms. They were registered to couples from out of town. Tourist names. Sarah's been working some kind of side hustle, and she's been funding it with my money. Daniel set down his coffee with shaking hands. That's impossible. Sarah wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Lie. Steal. Maintain multiple relationships simultaneously. I laughed bitterly. Daniel, she's been lying to both of us. The color drained from Daniel's face as he stared at the credit card statements. Sarah told me she'd ended things with you. She said you were just a temporary arrangement until we could figure out custody. My coffee cup hit the table harder than I intended. She told you what? That you were getting suspicious, that the marriage was basically over. She said she was just buying us time to establish my parental rights legally before filing for divorce. Daniel's voice got quieter with each word. She said you didn't really love Emma anyway, that you were already talking about wanting your own biological kids. The accusation hit like a physical blow. I have never, not once, treated Emma as anything less than my own daughter. She is my daughter, biology aside. But Sarah said. Sarah's been playing both of us. I pulled out my phone, scrolling to the bank records. Look at the dates, Daniel. The hotel charges. They don't line up with your work travel schedule from LinkedIn. The Tuesday and Thursday charges started in September, but according to your company's website, you were leading a financial planning seminar series on Tuesday evenings all fall. Daniel grabbed the papers, his hands shaking as he cross-referenced dates. September 15th. I was definitely in the office that day until 8 p.m. Sarah told me she was having dinner with her sister. September 22nd, that was the client dinner with the Hendersons that ran until midnight. Who's Sarah's sister? Rebecca. Lives in Portland. Daniel looked up, confusion replacing anger. But Sarah sees her every few weeks for dinner. I pulled up my contacts, finding Rebecca's number from our wedding guest list. Let's call her. Marcus, you can't just. I was already dialing. Rebecca picked up on a third ring, her voice bright with surprise. Marcus. How are you? How's married life? Hi Rebecca. Quick question, when's the last time you saw Sarah? Sarah? Oh gosh, it's been months. Since your wedding, actually. I keep meaning to visit, but work's been crazy. Why? I met Daniel's eyes across the table. No reason. Just wondering. Thanks, Rebecca. After I hung up, we sat in silence for 30 seconds. Daniel finally spoke, his voice hollow. She's been lying to me too. The question is about what else? I leaned forward. Daniel, I need you to think carefully. Has Sarah ever asked you for money? Loans, emergency funds, anything? She said you'd frozen her access to your accounts last month. Said you were being controlling about finances while she tried to figure out how to leave you. Daniel rubbed his forehead. I gave her $3,000 to help with a security deposit on an apartment. She told you she was leaving me. She said she was planning to tell you she wanted a divorce right after Emma's school play next week. Said she didn't want to disrupt Emma's big performance. Daniel's voice cracked. I thought we were finally going to be a real family. The pieces clicked together with devastating clarity. Sarah had been running 3 separate cons simultaneously, draining my accounts while telling Daniel she was leaving me, telling me she was committed to our marriage while planning her exit strategy, and apparently running some kind of hotel scam on the side to fund whatever her real endgame was. Daniel, I think we've both been played by a professional. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, *emergency at work, won't be home until late. Can you handle Emma pickup and dinner? Sorry babe. 2 hearts *. I showed Daniel the message. Want to bet she's not at work? How do we find out? We follow her. By 3:30 p.m., we were parked outside Sarah's supposed workplace, Meridian Marketing Solutions in the downtown business district. I'd called ahead, asking to speak with Sarah Henley about a family emergency. I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have anyone by that name employed here, the receptionist had said. Are you sure you have the right company? Now Daniel and I sat in my car, watching employees stream out of the building for their afternoon coffee breaks. Neither of us spoke much, we were both processing the fact that Sarah had been lying about her job for 8 months, just like she'd been lying about everything else. There, Daniel said, pointing across the street. The red Audi. Sarah's car was parked outside Blackstone Wealth Management, Daniel's own company. We watched her emerge from the building, but she wasn't alone. A man in his 50s walked beside her, his hand on the small of her back in a gesture that was definitely not professional. Who is that? I asked. Daniel's face had gone white. That's Richard Blackstone. My boss. The owner of the company. We watched Sarah kiss Richard goodbye, not a polite cheek kiss, but the same intimate kiss I'd seen her give Daniel at the Blue Door house. Richard handed her an envelope, thick enough to contain cash, and Sarah tucked it into her purse before getting into her car. How long has Sarah known about your job? I asked quietly. Since we started dating 3 years ago. She was always interested in my work, asked lots of questions about my clients, the company structure. Daniel's voice was barely a whisper. She even suggested I push for that promotion last year. Said Richard really liked her when they met at the company Christmas party. My stomach dropped. Daniel, what kind of client information do you have access to? Everything. Investment portfolios, retirement accounts, estate planning documents. He turned to look at me, understanding dawning in his eyes. Marcus, some of my clients have millions in assets. I pulled out my phone and called David Chen, putting it on speaker. David, I need you to check something immediately. Can you run a credit report on Sarah Henley? Full background check. From the car. Marcus, where are you right now? Sitting outside Daniel Morrison's office building, watching my wife take money from his boss after what looked like a very personal meeting. David was quiet for a moment. The Daniel Morrison who's Emma's biological father. You're working together now. It's complicated. Sarah's been lying to both of us. David, I think she might be running some kind of financial con. Stay on the line. I could hear David typing rapidly. Marcus, Sarah Henley's credit report shows addresses in 4 different states over the past 5 years. Employment history is spotty, mostly short-term positions at financial services companies. And there's something else. She's got active credit cards with balances totaling over $60,000. 60,000. Daniel and I said simultaneously. More interesting is where the payments are coming from. The cards are being paid by wire transfers from accounts in the Cayman Islands. Marcus, your wife appears to be involved in something much bigger than marriage fraud. I watched Sarah's Audi pull out of the parking space and head toward downtown. David, what are the chances she's been using information from Daniel's client files? If she has access to high-net-worth individuals' personal information. The possibilities are endless. Identity theft, investment fraud, elder financial abuse. David's voice was grim. Daniel, you need to check your company's client database immediately. Look for any unauthorized access or copied files. Daniel was already pulling out his laptop, connecting to his company's VPN. I can log in remotely and check the access logs. His fingers flew over the keyboard while I kept one eye on traffic, trying to spot Sarah's red car. Jesus Christ, Daniel whispered. Someone's been accessing client files using my login credentials. Dozens of them, going back 18 months. All high-value accounts, retirees with substantial portfolios. When were the accesses? David asked through the phone. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, mostly. And Daniel's voice trailed off. The access times match exactly with when Sarah said she was having dinner with her sister. The hotel charges. Tuesday and Thursday nights at the Grand Marquis. Sarah hadn't been running some random side hustle, she'd been using Daniel's stolen credentials to access wealthy clients' information, then meeting them at hotels under false pretenses. Daniel, do you recognize any of these client names? Anyone who might have met with someone claiming to be a financial advisor recently? He scrolled through the list, his face growing paler. Harold and Margaret Chen, they're in their 70s, worth about $2.3 million. Harold called last week asking about unauthorized investment advice someone claiming to be from our company had given them. I thought it was just confusion. What kind of advice? Something about moving money into offshore accounts to avoid estate taxes. Richard told me to dismiss it as elderly confusion, but... Daniel looked up at me. What if it wasn't confusion? My phone rang before I could answer. Lisa's name flashed on the screen, and I answered with a growing sense of dread. Marcus, where's Emma? Lisa's voice was tight with panic. The school called me. They said someone already picked her up an hour ago, but it wasn't you. The world tilted sideways. Who picked her up? They said it was her stepmother. Sarah signed her out for a dental emergency. I looked at Daniel, whose face had gone ashen. We both understood what was happening. Sarah wasn't just stealing money. She was stealing Emma. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely hold the phone. Lisa, what exactly did the school tell you? They said Sarah arrived at 2:15 with a note from you authorizing early pickup for Emma's emergency dental appointment. She had Emma's medical card and knew her teacher's name, so they didn't question it. Daniel grabbed my arm. Marcus, Sarah doesn't have Emma's medical card. I've seen her purse, she carries photos of Emma, but no official documents. I put Lisa on speaker while pulling up Emma's school contact on my phone. Lisa, I never wrote any note. And Emma doesn't have a dental appointment. I know that. That's why I'm calling you. Lisa's voice cracked. Marcus, where would Sarah take her? Daniel was already typing on his laptop. I'm checking Sarah's credit card activity. If she's planning to run, she'll need cash or plane tickets. His face went white. Marcus, there's a charge from 30 minutes ago. Southwest Airlines. 2 tickets to Miami, departing at 7:20 p.m. tonight. 2 tickets. The words felt like concrete in my throat. She's taking Emma out of the country. David's voice came through my phone speaker. Marcus, Miami's a major hub for flights to countries without extradition treaties. If she gets Emma on an international flight, this becomes infinitely more complicated. I was already starting the car, Daniel slamming his laptop shut beside me. We're heading to the airport. No, David said sharply. You're heading to the police station. This is kidnapping now, and if Sarah's involved in financial fraud like we suspect, the FBI needs to be involved immediately. There's no time. Marcus, listen to me. If you show up at the airport confronting Sarah, she could disappear into the crowd with Emma and you'll never find them. But if airport security and TSA are looking for them, she can't get through. Daniel was scrolling through his phone. There's more. I found Richard Blackstone's credit card linked to our joint account. He's been funding her operation. Hotel rooms, rental cars, even the Miami tickets, they're all being paid for by my boss. The scope of Sarah's con was staggering. She hadn't just been stealing from me and lying to Daniel, she'd been running a sophisticated financial fraud operation using his company's client database while potentially involving his boss in money laundering. How much money are we talking about? I asked, taking the exit toward downtown police headquarters. Daniel's voice was hollow. Based on the client accounts that were accessed and the wire transfers David mentioned, probably close to $500,000. Maybe more. Lisa's voice came through the speaker. Marcus, Emma has her inhaler, right? She left it at my house yesterday, and if she has an asthma attack. Sarah doesn't know about the inhaler. The realization hit me like ice water. Emma had that prescribed last month after the pneumonia. Sarah wasn't living with us then, she was supposedly staying at her condo while we took things slow. Daniel looked confused. But Sarah told me Emma's medical history in detail. She knew about the pneumonia, the hospitalization, everything. Because she was getting reports from you. But the inhaler prescription happened after Emma was discharged, during a follow-up appointment Sarah never attended. I pulled into the police station parking lot, my heart hammering. If Emma has an attack on that plane, we'll find her, Daniel said quietly. Both of us. Whatever our problems are, Emma comes first. I looked at him, this man who'd fathered my daughter and loved my wife, and nodded. Emma comes first. But as we walked toward the police station doors, I couldn't shake the feeling that Sarah Henley was already 3 steps ahead of us, and Emma was running out of time. The police station's fluorescent lights made everything feel surreal, like we were actors in some procedural drama instead of 2 desperate fathers trying to save a kidnapped child. Detective Maria Santos listened to our story with the kind of practiced patience that suggested she'd heard plenty of unbelievable tales, but her expression grew more serious as Daniel and I laid out the evidence. So your wife has been systematically defrauding elderly clients using stolen credentials, while simultaneously running marriage cons on both of you, and now she's fled to Miami with your 8-year-old daughter. Detective Santos looked between us. And you're telling me the 3 of you have been living this arrangement for how long? I didn't know about any arrangement, I said through gritted teeth. I thought I was married to Sarah Henley. I had no idea she was living a double life with Daniel or stealing from his company's clients. Detective Santos pulled up Sarah's information on her computer. Gentlemen, we have a problem. There is no Sarah Henley in our system matching the description you've given me. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I mean the woman you married appears to have been using a false identity. The Sarah M. Henley who co-owns the property on Willow Creek Drive. She died in a car accident in Nevada 18 months ago. Age 29, blonde hair, blue eyes. Someone's been using her identity. Daniel grabbed the edge of the desk. That's impossible. I've been with her for 3 years. She has a driver's license, credit cards, a social security number. All of which can be fabricated or stolen. Detective Santos turned her monitor toward us, showing a DMV photo of a blonde woman who looked nothing like the brunette I'd married. This is the real Sarah Henley. Whoever your wife is, she's been operating under an assumed identity for at least the past year and a half. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, asterisk Mr. Thompson, Emma is safe and happy. Don't involve police if you want to see her again. We'll be in touch about arrangements. A friend asterisk. I showed the message to Detective Santos, who immediately started typing on her keyboard. We're tracing this number, but given what you've told me about her sophistication, I doubt it'll lead anywhere useful. She looked up at both of us. However, this text just turned this from a custody dispute into a federal kidnapping case. Daniel's phone rang, and he answered it immediately. Richard? What do you mean the FBI is at the office? I could hear shouting through the speaker as Daniel put the call on hands-free. Richard Blackstone's voice was high with panic. They've frozen all our accounts. They're saying someone's been using our client database to run investment scams across multiple states. Daniel, they have surveillance footage of you accessing the building after hours dozens of times over the past 6 months. That wasn't me, Daniel said desperately. Richard, I gave Sarah my keycard and login information, but I thought she was just waiting for me to finish work projects. Sarah who? Daniel, I've never met anyone named Sarah. The woman I've been seeing is named Rebecca Chen. She said she was your cousin. Detective Santos grabbed the phone. Mr. Blackstone, this is Detective Santos with Metro Police. I need you to stay exactly where you are and cooperate fully with federal agents. Do not leave the building. After she hung up, the 3 of us sat in stunned silence. The woman I'd known as Sarah had been Rebecca to Richard Blackstone, probably had other names for other marks, and had been systematically destroying multiple lives while building what appeared to be a sophisticated criminal enterprise. Detective, I said quietly, how do we find Emma when we don't even know who really has her? Detective Santos was already reaching for her radio. We start with what we know. 2 tickets to Miami, departing at 7:20. Airport security is about to get very interested in anyone traveling with an 8-year-old girl. But even as she spoke, I couldn't shake the feeling that whoever Sarah really was, she'd planned for this contingency too. My phone rang at 4:47 p.m. while we sat in Detective Santos' office, waiting for updates from airport security. The caller ID showed Emma's school number, and my heart stopped. Mr. Thompson. This is Principal Martinez. I'm calling because we found something concerning in Emma's backpack that she left behind. Her voice was carefully controlled. There's a letter addressed to you. What kind of letter? It appears Emma wrote it herself, but... Mr. Thompson, I think you need to see this immediately. Can you come to the school? Detective Santos drove while Daniel and I sat in tense silence. At the school, Principal Martinez handed me a piece of pink construction paper covered in Emma's careful 8-year-old handwriting. Asterisk Dear Daddy Marcus, Sarah told me we are going on a surprise trip to see my real daddy's family. She said you knew but it was a secret until after my school play. She said my real daddy has lots of money and we can live in a big house with a pool. I don't want to go without you. I left my favorite bracelet in my desk so you would know I didn't want to leave. Sarah said I can't bring my phone because it won't work where we're going. I love you. Please come find me. Emma asterisk. My hands shook as I read it twice. She planned this. Emma knew something was wrong. Daniel peered over my shoulder. What bracelet? Principal Martinez led us to Emma's classroom, where a small silver bracelet lay inside her desk. I recognized it immediately, the charm bracelet I'd given Emma for her 7th birthday, with tiny charms representing our favorite memories together. A bicycle for when I taught her to ride, a book for our bedtime stories, a heart engraved with Daddy's girl. She would never leave this behind voluntarily, I whispered. Detective Santos' radio crackled to life. Santos, we have an update from Miami International. No one matching the suspect's description or the child has attempted to board any outbound flights. But we found something else. The Southwest tickets were purchased using a credit card belonging to Harold Chen, one of the elderly clients from the financial fraud case. My blood ran cold. She's using a stolen identity from one of her victims. It gets worse, the voice continued. Mr. Chin reported his identity was stolen 2 weeks ago. Someone used his information to rent a private plane from a charter service in Clearwater. Flight plan filed for Nassau, departing at 8 p.m. tonight. Nassau. A country where a stolen $500,000 could buy a new life, and where extradition treaties were notoriously difficult to navigate. Daniel grabbed my arm. Marcus, my company handles estate planning for snowbirds who winter in the Bahamas. Sarah would know exactly which clients have properties there. Detective Santos was already coordinating with the Coast Guard and Bahamian authorities, but I could see the frustration in her eyes. Private charter flights are harder to track, and once they're in international waters, our jurisdiction becomes complicated. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number, *stop involving police or Emma learns some uncomfortable truths about her daddy, Marcus. Did you know her real father has been paying for her life while you played house? She's going to have questions. Your friend *. The cruelty of using Emma's confusion as a weapon made my vision blur with rage. But beneath the anger was a more terrifying realization. Sarah, or whoever she really was, understood exactly how to manipulate an 8-year-old's emotions. We need to get to Clearwater, I said, standing up. Marcus, Detective Santos said carefully, that's a 2-hour drive. If they're departing at 8. Then we better leave now. I looked at Daniel. Both of us. Whatever happens between us later, Emma needs to see that the adults in her life can work together. Daniel nodded grimly. My car's faster. As we rushed toward the parking lot, I couldn't shake Emma's words from the letter, please come find me. I was coming, sweetheart. We both were. The drive to Clearwater became a nightmare of stop-and-go traffic and construction delays. Daniel's BMW crawled through Tampa's rush-hour gridlock while I checked my phone obsessively, watching the clock tick toward 8 p.m. At 6:23, Detective Santos called with an update that made my blood freeze. Marcus, we have a problem. The charter company says their 8 p.m. flight was moved up to 7:15. They're already in the air. I stared out the windshield at the endless line of brake lights ahead of us. How is that possible? The flight plan said 8. Apparently the pilot filed an amended plan this afternoon, citing weather concerns. But here's the thing, there's no weather between here and Nassau. Clear skies, perfect flying conditions. Daniel slammed his palm against the steering wheel. She knew we'd figure out the charter flight. She's been staying ahead of us this whole time. There's more, Detective Santos continued. The credit card used for the charter. It wasn't Harold Chen's. The payment came from an account belonging to Margaret Foster, an 83-year-old woman from Sarasota who doesn't even know her identity was stolen. My phone buzzed with another text, *beautiful sunset from up here. Emma's enjoying her first private jet experience. She says the clouds look like the cotton candy you bought her at the fair last month. Sweet memory. Your friend *. The message included a photo that made my heart stop. Emma pressed against a small aircraft window, her face lit with the kind of wonder that should have been innocent if it wasn't happening during her own kidnapping. She was wearing a yellow sundress I'd never seen before, and her hair was shorter, someone had cut off at least 3 inches. They changed her appearance, I showed Daniel the photo. Look at her hair. And new clothes. Emma hates yellow, it's always been her least favorite color. Daniel's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Whoever this woman is, she doesn't know Emma at all. She's just following some script about what makes kids happy. Detective Santos' voice crackled through the speakerphone. The good news is that Bahamian authorities are coordinating with us. Nassau International is a controlled airspace. That plane can't land without filing proper customs declarations. And the bad news? I asked, though I already knew there would be bad news. Private airstrips. The Bahamas has dozens of small islands with landing strips that wealthy Americans use for weekend getaways. If she has contacts there, or if she's done this before. My phone rang before she could finish. This time it wasn't a text, it was an actual call from the unknown number. I answered immediately, putting it on speaker. Hello, Marcus. The voice was definitely Sarah's, but there was something different about her accent. Harder edges, less of the soft southern drawl I'd fallen in love with. I assume you're listening too, Daniel. Let me talk to Emma, I said without preamble. She's sleeping. The poor thing was exhausted after all the excitement. Did you know she's never been on a plane before? She was so brave during takeoff. Daniel leaned toward the phone. Sarah, or whatever your real name is. You can call me Alex. And Daniel, I have to say, your client database was incredibly useful. Margaret Foster's Bahamian property is lovely this time of year. Private beach, no extradition treaty, and plenty of room for a little girl to run around. The casual way she discussed stealing an elderly woman's vacation home while kidnapping my daughter made my hands shake with rage. Emma has asthma. If she has an attack. Oh, I picked up her inhaler from Lisa's house yesterday. Turns out your ex-wife is very chatty when you tell her you're planning a surprise birthday party for Emma. She gave me everything I needed to know about Emma's medical needs, favorite foods, even her stuffed rabbit's name. Lisa had been feeding information to Sarah without knowing it. Emma's kidnapper had been collecting intelligence for days, maybe weeks. What do you want? Daniel asked quietly. Nothing from you anymore, Danny. You served your purpose. Alex's voice turned cold. But Marcus, you and I need to discuss terms. Emma's going to need some time to adjust to her new life, and I think a familiar face would help with the transition. The traffic finally started moving, but we were still 20 minutes from Clearwater, and that plane was already over the Gulf of Mexico. What kind of terms? I asked, though I was terrified to hear the answer. Pack a bag, Marcus. You're about to become a very devoted father willing to relocate for his daughter's happiness. The line went dead, leaving Daniel and me staring at the phone in his darkened car. We'd finally reached Clearwater, but the charter airport sat empty except for a few maintenance crews and security guards. The plane carrying Emma was somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico, and Alex, whoever she really was, had just made it clear this wasn't just kidnapping. She wanted me to disappear too. She's not planning to ransom Emma back, I said quietly, the reality settling over me like ice water. She wants me to come willingly, to make the transition easier for Emma. Then what? We both disappear forever. Daniel parked outside the charter terminal and killed the engine. Marcus, there's something I didn't tell Detective Santos. Something about Margaret Foster's property in Nassau. What? I helped set up her estate planning 2 years ago. That house isn't just a vacation home, it's held in a complex trust structure designed to hide assets from tax authorities. Multiple shell companies, offshore accounts, legal barriers that would take years to untangle. His voice was grim. If Alex gets Emma to that property, proving ownership or getting Bahamian authorities to act could take months. My phone buzzed with a text containing an address and a single line, * private airfield, Eleuthera Island. Come alone. You have 48 hours, *. Eleuthera, I showed Daniel the message. How far is that from Nassau? About 60 miles southeast. It's one of the out islands, remote, barely populated. Perfect place to disappear. Daniel was already pulling up satellite images on his phone. Look at this. Margaret Foster's property sits on 200 acres of beachfront. The nearest neighbor is 5 miles away. I called Detective Santos immediately. We have a location. Eleuthera Island, Bahamas. How fast can you coordinate with local authorities? I'm already on it, but Marcus, you need to understand something. The Bahamas has very specific procedures for international custody cases. Even with kidnapping charges, getting Emma back through official channels could take weeks. Emma doesn't have weeks. She needs her inhaler refilled every month, and Alex doesn't know the dosage requirements. If Emma has a severe attack. I couldn't finish the sentence. Daniel was scrolling through his company's client files on his phone. Marcus, I'm looking at Margaret Foster's account history. Alex has been planning this for months. There are payments to Bahamian law firms, property management companies, even a private tutoring service. Tutoring service. Academic Solutions International. They specialize in homeschooling for American expat families. Daniel's face went pale. She's not just planning to hide with Emma temporarily. She's setting up a permanent life. The implications hit me like a freight train. Alex hadn't just stolen Emma on impulse, she'd been methodically preparing to become Emma's permanent guardian, using Margaret Foster's stolen identity to create an entire fake life in the Bahamas. Detective Santos' voice crackled through my phone. Marcus, I have an update from the FBI. They've identified your wife through facial recognition. Her real name is Alexandra Kovac, and she's wanted in connection with similar financial fraud cases in Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Always the same pattern, infiltrates families connected to financial services, steals client information, disappears with substantial assets. How many families? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. 7, over the past 4 years. Marcus, she's a professional. This isn't her first time disappearing with someone's child to ensure compliance from the parents. My blood turned to ice. Someone else's child. Are you saying there are other kids? 2 previous cases where children disappeared with her, then reappeared months later after the families paid substantial ransoms. But Marcus, there's one case where the child was never recovered. Daniel grabbed my arm as the full scope of what we were dealing with became clear. Emma wasn't just kidnapped, she was in the hands of someone who'd done this before, someone who knew exactly how to use a child's safety to control desperate parents. And I had 46 hours to figure out how to get her back. The seaplane I'd chartered from Nassau touched down in Eleuthera's crystal blue waters at 3:47 p.m., exactly 36 hours after Alex's deadline text. But I wasn't alone, and I wasn't following her rules. Detective Santos had connected me with Agent Victoria Walsh from the FBI's International Child Abduction Unit, who'd been tracking Alexandra Kovac for 2 years. More importantly, she'd been working with Marcus Reed, whose 6-year-old son had been recovered from Alex in the Cayman Islands 8 months ago. The key is that she genuinely believes she's helping these children, Agent Walsh had explained during our flight. In her mind, she's rescuing Emma from an unstable family situation. That maternal delusion is her weakness. She won't hurt Emma, but she'll absolutely hurt you if she thinks you're a threat to what she sees as Emma's better life. Daniel had stayed behind in Miami, coordinating with the Financial Crimes Unit to freeze every account connected to Alex's operation. His last text came as we approached the island, * recovered $340,000 so far. Margaret Foster sends her thanks. Go get our girl, *. Our girl. Somehow, in 48 hours of hell, Daniel and I had become something resembling partners in the only thing that mattered. The coordinates Alex had sent led to a sprawling beachfront compound with white stucco walls and a red tile roof. 2 Bahamian police officers flanked Agent Walsh and me as we approached the main house, their presence a compromise Alex had reluctantly agreed to after I'd refused to come completely alone. Emma burst through the front door before we'd even reached the steps. Daddy. She launched herself into my arms, and I held her so tightly I was afraid I might hurt her. She smelled like coconut sunscreen and sea salt, her hair still shorter but her eyes bright with relief. I knew you'd find me, she whispered against my neck. I left clues like you taught me on our camping trips. Smart girl. Over her shoulder, I could see Alex standing in the doorway, wearing a flowing white dress that made her look like some kind of tropical goddess. She was watching our reunion with what appeared to be genuine happiness. She's been wonderful, Marcus, Alex called out. We've had swimming lessons and shell collecting, and I've been teaching her basic French. She's remarkably bright. Agent Walsh stepped forward, her badge visible. Ms. Kovac, you're under arrest for international kidnapping, identity theft, and financial fraud. I gave Emma the childhood adventure she deserves, Alex said calmly, holding out her hands for the handcuffs. Her real father's been absent for years, and you, Marcus, you're so wrapped up in adult drama that you can't see how much she craves stability. She has stability, I said, Emma still clinging to my neck. She has 2 fathers who love her, a mother who adores her, and a family that's messy but real. What she doesn't need is to be stolen by strangers who think they know better. As the Bahamian officers led Alex away, she turned back once. Check her backpack, Marcus. She's been writing in a journal. You might learn something about what Emma really wants. That evening, back in our Nassau hotel room, I sat with Emma while she showed me the journal Alex had given her, a pink leather book with adventures embossed on the cover. The entries were heartbreaking and illuminating. Asterisk Day 1, Sarah said we're going to live somewhere beautiful but I miss my bed and Mr. Whiskers. I hope Daddy Marcus isn't mad at me for leaving, asterisk. Asterisk Day 2, Alex, she told me her real name, said Daddy Marcus and Daddy Daniel are fighting about money but they both love me the same. She said sometimes adults need help figuring out how to share, asterisk. Asterisk Day 3, I told Alex I want to go home. She said we have to wait for the daddies to stop being mad at each other first, asterisk. Emma had spent 3 days thinking that Daniel and I were fighting over her, that our adult problems were somehow her fault. The guilt nearly broke me. Emma, sweetheart, Daniel and I aren't fighting about you. We're working together to make sure you're safe and happy. But Alex said. Alex was confused about a lot of things. But she was right about one thing, Daniel and I both love you, and we're going to figure out how to be a family that makes sense. 3 months later, Daniel and I sat in a family court mediator's office with Lisa, working out a custody arrangement that acknowledged reality instead of hiding from it. Emma would spend weekdays with me, weekends with Lisa, and one evening a week with Daniel, her biological father who was ready to be a real part of her life. It's unconventional, the mediator noted, but if it works for Emma. It works, Emma announced from her chair between us, swinging her legs happily. I have the most daddies of anyone in my class now. Tommy's kind of jealous. The financial recovery took longer. Alexandra Kovac pled guilty to 14 federal charges and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Most of the stolen money was returned to victims, including the $47,000 that ended up in Emma's real college fund. The house with the blue door was sold, the proceeds split between Daniel's legal fees and restitution payments. Sarah's, Alex's, belongings were donated to charity, except for the photos of Emma, which I kept because they showed my daughter genuinely happy, even under impossible circumstances. 6 months after the kidnapping, Emma asked the question I'd been dreading, Daddy Marcus, why does everyone lie about families? We were making pancakes on a Saturday morning, Daniel joining us for what had become our weekly breakfast tradition. Because sometimes adults get scared that the truth is too complicated, I said carefully. But we learned that lies are way more complicated than truth. Are you going to get married again? Emma asked, pouring syrup with scientific precision. Someday maybe. But next time, I'll make sure you get to really know them first. No more surprises. Emma nodded approvingly. Good. Because I want to help pick. I'm good at knowing when people are pretending. She was right. Emma had left me clues during her kidnapping, had written honestly about her confusion in that journal, had tried to protect all of us even as an 8-year-old caught in an impossible situation. From now on, I promised her, we tell each other the truth, even when it's complicated. Even when it's really, really complicated. Emma grinned, her smile bright with mischief and trust. Especially then. Because I'd learned that families aren't built on perfect circumstances or simple answers. They're built on people who show up for each other when everything falls apart, who choose love over pride, and who understand that sometimes the most important question isn't, why does Daddy have 2 houses, but how do we make sure everyone feels safe coming home? Emma had 3 adults who loved her unconditionally, a college fund that would actually pay for college, and the knowledge that even when the world got scary, there would always be someone coming to find her. That was the family we'd built from the wreckage of Alexandra Kovac's lies. Messy, complicated, and absolutely real.